The episode Bart Gets an F is the season premiere of the second season of The Simpsons, and it marks an emotional turning point in the series. Originally airing on October 11th, 1990, the episode combines humor with emotional depth, setting the tone for many future episodes and seasons. We are introduced to Bart Simpson, the iconic underachieving troublemaker, as he faces the possibility of repeating the 4th grade due to his poor grades and lack of effort. He receives an F on a history test and doesn't complete an adequate book report. His teacher, Mrs. Krabappel, warns him that unless he passes the retake of the history exam, he will be held back. What sets this episode apart is its emotional weight. Unlike many earlier cartoon episodes focused purely on jokes, Bart Gets an F explores themes of failure, self-doubt, and misguided effort. Viewers see a different side of Bart. They see a young child who genuinely struggles with school, concentration, and a feeling of inadequacy through the success of his younger sister Lisa. His attempts to study and improve, even seeking help from his classmate genius, Martin Prince, fail him as he struggles to get a passing grade. This episode is notable for being one of the first to balance out comedy with heartfelt storytelling. It resonated with audiences and critics alike for its honest portrayal of academic pressure and its nuanced character development. This episode is nostalgic and personal to me. As a person who struggled with academic potential and expectations, I found school a very difficult place, often feeling unwelcome and overwhelmed. Much like Bart, I found staying focused was next to impossible and didn't feel supported in the way I believe I needed. During the episode, Bart prays to have extra time to study, and when I was young, I did the same. The Simpsons is an American animated sitcom created by Matt Groening. Premiering in 1989, the show follows the Simpsons family, Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie, in the fictional town of Springfield. Homer, the ridiculous but attentive father, works at the nuclear power plant and often finds himself in chaotic situations due to his impulsive and reckless behavior. Marge, the lovable mother and the moral voice of the family, tries to keep things together. Bart, the naughty 10-year-old, causes trouble both at home and at school, while Lisa, his 8-year-old sister, is a gifted intellectual. Maggie, the baby, doesn't really speak, but often surprises people with her subtle intelligence. Throughout its decades-long run, The Simpsons has become a cultural phenomenon, known for its vast ensemble of quirky supporting characters. With a mixture of humor and heart, it remains the most enduring and iconic series in television history. It's nostalgic, and it's embedded in my memories. I fondly remember watching this show with my family, often comparing them to the characters within it. Who are your favorite characters? What's your favorite episode? Please let me know in the comments, and hopefully I'll be able to create a video on it. The episode begins at Bart's school, Springfield Elementary. Martin is giving a dynamic presentation on a book that the students had to read. Bart is then called upon to give his presentation, and he improvises. The book is called Treasure Island. Mrs. Krabappel asks to see him after class, where she explains that Bart has a history test that he needs to get a good grade on. Bart can only hear her saying blah blah blah, showing us that he has a problem with concentration. The scene transitions to an arcade, where Bart is playing arcade games. He says that he will play a few more games, then study. At home, he's still procrastinating, watching the children's cartoon, Itchy and Scratchy. Marge calls the family to dinner, and Lisa is sharing good news about receiving a good grade on her vocabulary test. Homer puts the test paper on the fridge, over Bart's last good grade, which was a long time ago. Bart is visibly upset by this, and gets dismissed. Homer tells Bart that there is a movie that he wants to watch. Bart begins to tell Homer that he needs to study for a test, before being interrupted by Homer and dragged to watch it anyway. After the film, Bart begins to study but falls asleep. Marge is then asking why Bart keeps failing if he's trying so hard. The next morning, Bart asks Otto to crash the bus in an attempt to get out of studying. He spots Sherry and Terry, the twins in his class, and begins to ask them questions, hoping to get answers for his test. They mislead Bart by giving him the wrong answers. Martin notices the wrong answers the twins said and notifies Bart that he has the wrong information. Bart gets the idea to fake an illness, attempting to get out of the test, which is successful and he is sent home. Bart is home from school, and instead of taking the time to study, he takes advantage by watching TV and eating ice cream. Bart calls Milhouse, attempting to get the answers, which he makes note of, to use in school tomorrow. At school, Bart stays behind to complete the test, and despite getting the answers from Milhouse, he gets all the answers wrong and fails for a second time. After school, Marge, Homer, and Bart are called in to see the district psychiatrist, Dr. J. Lauren Pryor, who explains that due to Bart's bad grades, he recommends that Bart should repeat the 4th grade. It's seen that Homer has also got a short attention span, much like Bart. Bart promises to do better, to avoid repeating the 4th grade, and gets a second chance to pass the test. He seeks guidance from Otto, who reveals that he also repeated the 4th grade. Otto states that now he drives the school bus, which terrifies Bart, who is now concerned for his future. At school, Bart asks Martin for help to get a passing grade. Bart offers to make Martin more popular in exchange for academic help. Martin helps make a better study area for Bart, and Bart advises Martin to sit at the back of the bus to appear cooler. A montage plays of the boys helping each other. Martin eventually goes back on his promise, leaving Bart high and dry, inciting panic, and the deadline looms closer for Bart. Studying in his room, Marge pops in to remind Bart that it's past his bedtime. Reluctantly, he closes his book and heads to bed. As a last-ditch effort to get more time, he prays. This prayer is a deeply emotional one, as Bart pleads with God to offer guidance. Lisa witnesses this in the doorway of Bart's room. The next day, we see that there is a snow blizzard, which causes the school to be cancelled. Bart is excited, waiting to hear that the school has been closed on the radio. He excitedly gets ready to go and play outside, in the snow, but Lisa stops him. She reminds Bart of the promise he made to God. He sulks as he goes back up to his room, looking out of the window to the whole of Springfield, playing in the snow. To avoid further distractions, he leaves his room to study in the basement. He blocks the door and begins to study. Bart goes as far as to slap himself to remain focused. His family look down through the basement window in shock, watching him struggle. At school, Bart finishes his test. He patiently waits for his teacher to mark his work, hoping to get a pass mark. However, he fails this test again. Despite trying the hardest we've ever seen him, he failed. Bart cries after learning that he failed and will need to repeat the year. He cries out that he tried so hard but still failed. In a miraculous display, he compares his failure to George Washington, explaining that he surrendered Fort Necessity to the French in 1754. This information causes his teacher to bump his grade due to using applied knowledge, which means that Bart passed with a D-. Bart kisses his teacher and gleefully runs throughout the school, shouting about how he passed. At home, mirroring the situation with Lisa earlier, Homer sticks Bart's paper on the fridge, telling Bart that he's proud of him. Bart thanks him and says that part of this grade belongs to God, and the episode ends and the credits roll. The episode Bart Gets an F carries a variety of different symbolic meanings and interpretations beneath its surface narrative. It's a story about effort, failure, and personal growth, and each of these themes is symbolized through Bart's journey. An F grade signifies failure, which leads to feelings of shame, especially in a school setting. Bart's F grade during the final history exam, after truly trying his best, is not the same as the one he's earned through laziness or goofing off. Earlier in the episode, Bart submits a low-effort book report presentation, and the audience has no sympathy as Bart did not try, so it came as no surprise he failed. However, during the final exam, the audience was shown many moments of Bart trying to study and remain focused, which made the moment he cried after failing once more super depressing and disheartening. He ultimately passes, which acts as a symbol of effort, pushing against one's own boundaries and limitations. Bart prays for more time to study, something he rarely does in this way and in this context. This prayer isn't played for laughs. It's truly heartfelt and sincere, acting as a reminder of Bart's desire to succeed against the odds. Symbolically, it can represent the tendency to reach out for guidance or help, seeking a higher power to give relief in a time of dismay. It's a turning point for Bart. In that moment, Bart becomes more than just a rebellious kid. He acts as representation of every child who's ever struggled academically and crumbled under the weight of academic expectations. It shows Bart's willingness to succeed, as he prays for more time to study rather than to not have the test at all, showing that he is willing to try but needs additional time. When the snowstorm delays his test, much like a child his age, he prepares to play in the snow. Lisa, acting as his moral compass, witnesses Bart's prayer and reminds him of his promise to God. Bart accepts this, and despite his childlike urge, begging him to blow off studying and play outside, he studies hard, even slapping himself to stay focused. This show impacted many children and adult audiences worldwide, myself included. It reminds us of the pain and struggles students go through to meet expectations and succeed. During its airing, it broke record numbers in viewership, dominating the competition with 33 million views, marking it as one of the most watched TV episodes at the time. The episode sparked critical dialogue of the current educational system at the time, with people relating to Bart's experiences in the episode, essentially making him a symbol of hope and perseverance. This insightful dialogue helps viewers to understand their own children or themselves, serving as a think piece on not only the American educational system, but global systems that prioritize a singular learning experience rather than a tailored one. By the time the second season began, Bart had already become a cultural phenomenon. He was seen as a rebellious, wisecracking child, acting as a symbol of anti-authority. Creators Matt Groening and James L. Brooks and the show's writers wanted to counter the perception that Bart was a bad role model by creating an episode that showed he wasn't just a troublemaker, but a child who genuinely struggled with school and had a desire to excel. This episode was designed to humanize Bart, showing that he cared about his future even if he didn't always know how to succeed. It's evident when Bart imagines himself being an old man, still in the 4th grade. He panics at the thought of still being a failure. Writer David M. Stern aimed to portray Bart as a relatable figure for students who face challenges in school, particularly those who were often misunderstood by their teachers or dismissed as lazy. At this point in its development, The Simpsons was beginning to push the boundaries of what an animated show could do. James L. Brooks encouraged the writers to explore more heartfelt, emotional storytelling, not just satire and comedy. This shift is what makes The Simpsons so impactful in TV, pushing back against the idealized family and really showcasing the nitty-gritty of domestic life. On IMDb, this episode is rated at an 8.2 out of 10, with critics and audiences calling it their favorite episode that paves the way for the golden years of The Simpsons. The reviews are mostly positive, and many relate to the struggles Bart faces while trying to academically succeed. This episode touches my heart every time I watch it. As a premiere for the second season, it sets the tone of character development and heartfelt moments that lovingly leads audiences to the golden age of The Simpsons. I honestly believe that this episode is detrimental to understanding Bart's character and his motivations. It's a fantastic episode that delicately discusses the pain behind academic expectations and the sheer despair of when you don't meet them. Watching Bart struggle keeps you on the edge of your seat, and the eventual twist that he gets a D- is an extraordinary feeling that leaves you speechless. His resilience and determination are infectious, and you feel a sense of satisfaction when he finally pulls through. Bart Gets an F is one of The Simpsons' most emotionally impactful episodes, showing that the series could blend humor with heartfelt storytelling. It explores Bart's struggle with failure and his sincere effort to improve, portraying vulnerability without sentimentality. The episode redefines Bart from a basic, rebellious underachiever to a complex, relatable child facing unseen challenges. It also helped shift public perception of animation, proving that cartoons could tackle serious themes like educational pressure and personal growth. Ultimately, it's a story about the value of trying and how real growth comes from effort, not just success. If you enjoyed this episode, comment your best moment or what you loved about it. If you enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of your favorite episodes from the TV shows you love.